Hello students, this is our second lecture on gamma functions. Okay, so let us just briefly define what was a gamma function. So this was a gamma function, gamma of n, it is equal to integration from 0 to infinity of any function e raised to the power minus x into x raised to the power n minus 1 dx. Okay, now this is one of the property which we are going to use today, and the second property which we are going to use today is gamma function of n plus 1, it is equal to gamma function of n into gamma function of n. Okay, so just remember these are the two properties which we are going to proceed, and we are going to use only these two properties in the numerical today. Okay, so just start with the basics of gamma function. The first one is, let's say it is asked that you need to find out the integration from 0 to infinity for e raised to the power minus x upon x dx. Okay, now how to solve this? If you need to solve it, this kind of function, you can easily relate it with the first formula of gamma function. Okay, you can easily see that it is quite related to this first formula. So you can say it can be rewritten as from 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x into x raised to the power minus 1 dx, isn't it? Because when this x goes to the numerator, it can be written as x raised to the power minus 1. Now, if we just relate these two, just find the similarity between these two equations, you can easily see that e raised to the power minus x is here also, it is here also. Okay, so what is different? X raised to the power n minus 1 is here, and here it is x raised to the power minus 1. So you can easily write n minus 1 is equal to minus 1. So n minus 1 equal to minus 1. So easily you can see that n is equal to 0. So it can be written as gamma function of 0. And in the last class I have already told you that gamma function for 0 is nothing but infinity. Okay. So this is how we have done the first numerical. Now the second one is, let's say this one. Okay, the second one is given from, let's say, from 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x upon x square dx. So what we should do over here? In this case also, again every time we are going to find out the similarity with the original formula. What was the original formula? 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x, this is gamma function of n, into x raised to the power n minus 1 dx. So every time we are going to find out the similarity between these two. Okay, so what you can do now is, it can be rewritten as from 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x into x raised to the power minus 2 dx. Now again you can say that n minus 1 is equal to minus 2. You can write over here n minus 1 equal to minus 2. So therefore n is equal to 1 minus 2, and it is coming out to be minus 1. So it is the gamma function of minus 1. But in the last class I have already proved you as well as told you that gamma function of any negative number is always infinity. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay, so the third simple question is, find out the integration for e raised to the power minus x into x raised to the power minus half dx. Okay, now again we are going to compare it with the original formula for the gamma function, and which is 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x raised to the power n minus 1 dx. So here you can easily see that n minus 1 is equal to minus half. So you can say n is equal to 1 minus half, that is equal to plus half. So it is coming out to be gamma function of half. And what is gamma function of half? I have already told you in the last class, it is under root of pi. Okay. Now in this question we are going to use the basic definition of gamma function as well as this third property which I have introduced you in the previous lecture, that gamma function of n plus 1 is equal to n factorial. Okay. So now let's do the question. The question is, let's say something like that, integration of 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x into x square dx. So how to solve this one? So again we are going to find the similarity between this question and the equation number 1. So e raised to the power minus x is e raised to the power minus x. Now x square, if we relate to x raised to the power n minus 1, so that simply tells us that n minus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, so therefore we can say n is equal to 2 plus 1, that means equal to 3. So if n is equal to 3, that means it is gamma function of 3. Okay, so now we are going to use this third property, that gamma function of n plus 1 is n factorial. So what is 3? 3 is nothing but 2 plus 1. So here n is again 2, so it can be written as 2 factorial. Okay, it can be written as 2 factorial. And what is 2 factorial? 2 into 1, that is nothing but 2. Okay, now using the same 3 properties, again you can find out the gamma function for, let's say, another question. This is the last one which we are dealing in this section. Okay, one of the easiest question again. Let's say my next question is, what is the integration of 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus x into x cube dx? So obviously in this case it will be 3 when related to n minus 1. So you can say when n minus 1 equal to 3, you can say n is equal to 4. So you can write it as gamma function of 4. Okay, now we are going to use this third property. According to this third property, gamma function of n plus 1 is n factorial. That means if it is 4, then it will be 3 factorial. If it is gamma function of 3, then it will be 2 factorial. So directly you can write it is nothing but 3 factorial, and therefore it is equal to 3 into 2 into 1, that is equal to 6. Okay, so thank you so much for your patient listening. Kindly subscribe the channel so that you can hear the next lectures.